few weeks ago, I watched a video by YouTuber Tom Lazan ranking every single Final Fantasy game, including spin-offs, movies, books, etc. This video turned out to be a series finale to a 4-year-long show he had been doing on his channel chronicling his journey through the series' entirety. Once the video ended, it really made me think about all the RPG series I love that I've barely even played. Dragon Quest, Megami Tense, and hell, Final Fantasy, all series I adore, but I've only played a handful of. So, I made a decision. Now, we're going to need to set some ground rules here. First off, not every game in this series got translated. It started around 1986, and the series only started getting American releases with the Persona spin-off in 1996. So, know that a lot of fan translations will be used here. If there's a translation of any sort, I'm going to play it, read it, intake the media however I can. Second, this will be including all spin-offs. So yes, all the Persona games and their spin-offs are included. However, Metaphor will not be included. It's not part of the Megami Tense franchise, it's a new IP. Doesn't count. Tokyo Mirage Sessions, though, does count. Might be a crossover, but still SMT. Now third, for my own sanity, mobile games will not need to be beaten. I do not like mobile games. They make me sick and hurt my tummy. Please do not make me play a mobile game for more than a few hours, I beg you. And I think that should be it for the ground rules. Guess we should get started with number 1, Digital Devil's Story Megami Tense by Aya Nishitani. So the start of this video game review series is actually a book review. I know, wild, right? Written in 1986, Digital Devil's Story Megami Tense made quite a splash in Japan. The book series ended up being 9 books long, spread across 7 years, and technically 2 series, with Megami Tense and New Megami Tense. It spawned 2 different video games and an anime OVA. And that's all I could find on the book. I actually wanted to know what kind of cultural impact this had in Japan, but I really couldn't find much outside of summaries of the story and how it started the SMT franchise. There's not even a Wikipedia page about the novel specifically. It's kind of crazy. Never got an official translation, so we're working with a fan translation here. Digital Devil's Story Megami Tense is about a high school computer genius / mage named Nakajima who summons a demon to kill his high school bullies and a teacher for some reason. He loves it! He starts sacrificing women to said demon, Loki. The book also follows Yumiko, a transfer student who feels a strong connection to Nakajima. Nakajima similarly feels that connection too. Loki wants Yumiko as a sacrifice. Nakajima says, "No!" Loki says, "Yes!" Loki breaks out of the computer, he was stuck in a computer, and tries to take Yumiko himself. She starts throwing fireballs out of her hands. Because it turns out she's the reincarnation of Izanami! Whoa! And Nakajima is the reincarnation of Izanagi! Whoa! Persona 4! Whoa! Izanami sweeps them away and says, "Bring Yumiko to me or she die." And Nakajima says, "Okay," and he go. But Loki is right behind them, and they get to Izanami. Loki there too. They fight. Nakajima win. The end. Or is it? So the book is better than that summary, but let me be real with y'all. I do not like it. It's fine. There's some cool stuff in here, and it's neat to see the building blocks that would make SMT what it is, but yeah, no. This one just doesn't do it for me. The front half is filled with this juvenile edginess that feels overly cruel sometimes, and I know it's a horror story and that they can be cruel and mean, but outside of a few moments, it never felt tense or horrifying, just mean. Also worth noting, if you're planning on giving this book a shot, there is SA in here. If that makes you uncomfortable, you should skip this one. And the back half of the book is just kind of dull. It's a cat and mouse chase, but I don't think it really has the tension a cat and mouse should. I know that there are people that really like these books, and this one in particular, but this just isn't doing anything for me. I'm sorry. I know that the second book in the series also has a fan translation, but from what I've seen and read, it has very little to do with the games and ends on sequel bait for a book that hasn't been translated. The first one is fine on its own and the real inspiration for the game, so I think I'm just going to let the second book be. We will have plenty more novels to go through, though. This is not the last book review of the series. Trust me. Oh, and by the way, if you're more interested in the original book series, go watch this video by Marsh. I had it on while I was grinding, and it's really cool to see how the story evolves and progresses with the SMT series. With that out of the way, let's get on to 2. Digital Devil's Story, Megami Tense, Atlus. Developed by Atlus, published by Namco, and released in 1987, Digital Devil's Story Megami Tense is the first step towards the Shin Megami Tensei game series. Now you might remember earlier I said the novel spawned 2 games. Let's talk about that. As described by Nishitani in a letter to Facebook in 2018, translated by Pepsi Man GP, even before the release of DDS Megami Tensei, Nishitani wanted there to be a game to go alongside it. After being shut down by Nintendo, they were approached by Atlus and Telenet, both offering very different games. Kazutoshi Ueda, one of Atlus's founders, pitched a dungeon crawler using a system they created in-house. According to this letter, the entire idea of fusing demons came specifically from descriptions in the book itself. It's pretty cool stuff. Telenet's pitch was more of an action game, going for a top-down, almost shooter thing. I tried looking around for any development info on this one, but I couldn't really find anything. Even the letter I mentioned earlier, yeah, Telenet wasn't actually mentioned in that. They only talked about Atlus, like not a single word at all. I just added that in there so that I could have a good segue. But the game came out, it exists. It's technically the first one. No, I'm not reviewing it because it actively has nothing to do with the franchise outside of being a different adaptation of the novel, completely different teams, completely different companies, completely different projects. I'm not doing it. I'm not! 2. Digital Devil's Story, Megami Tensei, Telenet. This game sucks. I put 5 hours into it and I'm never getting those hours back. Developed by Telenet in 1987 for the MSX, FM7, and PC-88, Digital Devil's Story Megami Tensei is the very first Megami Tensei game. There was a fan translation of the MSX version of the game, but I couldn't get that to work, so I played the PC-88 version, and that might have been a mistake. But we'll get to that. I can't read Japanese. Despite my multiple years of on and off study, I really need to buckle down on that. So I can't tell you much about the narrative outside of a summary I found on Reddit from 2 years ago. It looks like it's mostly an adaptation of the second half of the book, but instead of Loki killing Yumiko, this time he kidnaps her instead. Now it's up to Nakajima and Cerberus to get her back. You know, it's a pretty simple story. What amounts to gameplay here is mostly just holding the spacebar to throw your sword and going from floor to floor. You can pick up items, but for the life of me, I don't know what to do with them. I pushed every single key on my keyboard to see my items, and I got a whole lot of nothing. Now, the wiki says you can throw shuriken and magatama to do special attacks like freezing enemies or making fire, but like I said, every button, I couldn't figure out how to do this. And at this point, you've been looking at the footage for long enough. You've probably noticed that the visuals are gross as hell. This game looks muddy and all of the colors kind of wash over each other and make it hard to see what enemies are doing. You have these slime guys that may or may not notice you. You have these dudes with claws who also may or may not notice you, and you have these bull-looking rage runners who are constantly shooting at you and chasing you down.
Welcome to the real world! Welcome to the real world!
No, you're cheating.
You're gonna learn! This is the real world! You learned it early, son!
I'm done playing now.
Finish him.
You're a freaking jerk.
It's not fun. The visuals also make it so hard to see the projectiles, so you can be getting hit and not even notice. And for the music, you're looking at hearing the same song over and over and over and over and over and game bad, not fun. Maybe I'll give the MSX version a shot when I can get the patch to work, but for now, nah. This game is low tier. Moving on. 3. Digital Devil Story, Megami Tense, Atlus. For real this time. Now we finally made it to the main event, the first Atlus-developed Megami Tense game. Now, like everything else in this video, this game never got an official translation, so we have another fan translation here, one that I actually got to work. Now let's start with the story. Izanami has been captured by Lucifer, and now Nakajima and Yumiko must delve into the labyrinth that is the Devilopolis. It's separated into 6 dungeons: Daedalus Tower, the Sky Castle Bien, Valhalla Corridors, Mazurka Corridors, Sea of Flames, and Infinity Palace. Nakajima and Yumiko must delve in here to find Izanami and save the world. Once again, a pretty simple story, just like the last game. But the big difference between these two games is the gameplay, and oh my god, it is night and day! Atlus's Megami Tense feels so good in comparison to Telenet's. It's not even funny. To start, the game looks good! I know what I'm looking at! Yes! As you can see, the game is a first-person dungeon crawler. You can only move forward. Left, right, and back, turn the camera left, right, and 100 degrees around. While you're walking around, you'll get random encounters. Similar to Dragon Quest, you will only see one sprite at a time. However, you can also see how many people are actually in the group at the bottom there. You can fight and do magic, but for the most part, you're gonna be hitting that fight button. Unlike Dragon Quest, for some of these enemies, you can talk to them and get them to join your party. That's right, folks! Demon negotiations started from the beginning! Now I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Before you go crawling, you're first introduced to your main city of Megami, at the top of Daedalus Tower. Here you will find some NPCs who will give you a little help to figure out where to go, the Megami Sage, the Frontier Shop, the Fountain of Healing, and, this one is really important, the Heretic's Manor. The Megami Sage gives you your password to keep your progress. The Frontier Shop is a shop. You can buy there, but for some reason you cannot sell. The Fountain of Healing is where you can heal for Maka, which is the in-game currency. And the Heretic's Manor is where you can heal from status effects, revive characters, and fuse your demons. That's right! Demon fusion started here too, baby! Now, knowing all this, you can start your journey! Yeah, this is gonna be like 80% of what you do. Doorways are the enemy spawns for this game, so whenever you need to grind, you camp out by any doorway closest to a Fountain of Healing. Leveling may not be as important as having good demons, but demons don't gain levels. And the game doesn't tell you what level each demon is, so it's best to try to level up as much as possible until you can recruit new demons in your new area, or fuse together new, more powerful demons. Which means you're going to be going back and forth in and out of doorways a lot. But once you get the grind done and make your way through some bosses, you'll see this game can be kind of well paced, like surprisingly so. Provided you're playing with maps and maybe a guide to tell you what demons you should recruit, it's honestly pretty breezy for at least that front half. I used this guide by JRPG Otaku. They made only one other video, so I'm glad that this one actually came out. I referred to it a lot. However, there is always a point where the fun must come to an end. After you beat Loki and make it to the Mazurka corridors, things really heat up. It gets hard to grind because every single enemy can get you in a hold that Bryan Danielson would be proud of.
Oh! What a disgusting torque!
We got a heel hook right. That's it.
This might be a good time to talk about status effects. They all basically render a character unusable until they go away. Some only last the fight, some stick around. Now at this point in the game, you're going up against enemies that will hit the entire party with status effects and then just smack you until you tap! You start dying a lot at this point, which isn't as punishing as one might think. So when you die, you lose Maka and your healing items and get sent back to Megami. But all of your progress is still there, so it's really not that bad. You might need to grind for Maka a bit, but relatively harmless. However, once it starts happening, every time you grind, it starts to become a problem. This is where the game starts to get kind of dull. I started using fast forward button and save states a lot. I mean, I used them before, don't get me wrong, but just a little more sparingly. Now I'm using fast forward to just zip to the end of hallways because I don't want to deal with the movement speed. Doesn't help that at one point, it does become a bit of a trek to get back to where you were when you died from Megami. And it just kind of ruins the pacing for a while. By the end of the game, I'm at max level, and I want to summon the big demons, so I start devil hunting again, and you know what? The spark came back! The last hour or so of creating my final team to go up against Lucifer was really fun, and brought me back to the joy I was feeling at the front half of the game. I went up there, and I kicked Lucifer's ass, and the game was over, and honestly, I would play it again. I would probably stop at Loki instead of getting all the way through, but this is a very easy to like game. I do think you should play with a map and guide ready at the side, but honestly, I would recommend this to any SMT fan. It feels like a game made with real heart and ambition, like they really wanted to make something out of it, and by God, they did. Thank you all for watching, and let me say that not all of these videos are going to be this long. I really wanted to start with the first game, but the book and Telenet game made it feel kind of like a prologue that needed to get out there first. From here on out, it's just going to be one game, one video. Hopefully that can excise some of the bloat that might be showing up here. Anyways, next up is Digital Devil Story Megami Tense 2.